Scary stories about mystical and supernatural places on rivers always attract attention. Because since ancient times, people have settled near bodies of water, which have their own mysteries and secrets.
One day in the fall, my best friend and I went fishing. Our river is wide and full of water. We could hardly see the banks. It took us a few hours to get to our place, where we usually put the boat on the water. It's a long way, but it's deserted, and we could leave the car without any problems, not worrying about its safety. We put a rubber boat on water, loaded the fishing tackle and bait into it. We started the motor and drove off. We were lucky with the fishing, but for the same reason, we had been on the water too long and had not managed to return, when suddenly there was a squall wind and a storm. Our boat was tossing on huge waves like a baby. Of course, we had a lot of fear, and in addition to all the misfortunes, our engine had stalled. Finally we were capsized, but we managed to swim ashore. I will not bore you with details, but then it turned out that it was an elongated small island covered with wood and bushes. Then we explored it far and wide out of despair. People visited the island once, but a long time ago. We saw something similar to shelter, and we saw cut down trees. In total, we stayed on the island for several days. It was good that we made a fire, the nights were already chilly. Strange things began on the second night. We were sitting near the fire, when we heard eerie sounds. It sounded like an animal shouting, but we felt that a woman was crying. And we were so scared by this sound, that we pressed close to the fire, straining to stare into the impenetrable darkness. And weeping comes from one side of the glade, then from the other. And it seems to be closer and closer. Creepy. We were barely out till dawn. Everybody was exhausted. In the morning we searched the whole island, but neither animals nor people were found. The next night everything was repeated, but to the longing cries, there were hoarse groans and voices. It felt like a whole bunch of people wandering around in the dark. Footsteps were heard, the bushes were swaying, branches were snapping, but we dared not check and go out of the light circle. Again we suffered a lot of fright. Everything calmed down by dawn. After we were sure that there was nobody on the island and nowhere to hide, we decided to leave by ourselves. We didn't want to go through another night like that. They were so terrified by the approaching night that they were willing to do anything to get away from this cursed place. We found a fallen tree, threw it into the water, grabbed hold of it and swam away. We are strong guys, but the water was terribly cold. I don't know if we would have made it to shore, if they hadn't noticed us from the boat and hadn't picked us up. As it turned out later, they had been looking for us for 24 hours. But here is the strangest thing. No one saw the island when we were cruising along the river. Although, judging by the landmarks, we were right in that place. We didn't find it ourselves afterwards. I made inquiries about those places later. I only found out that there's a terrible story about sectarians who took refuge on an island from persecution. And no one could find that island afterwards. And old believers vanished into thin air. No one ever saw them again. And then again, sometimes in those places fishermen disappear, but then I do not know whether there is something mystical about their disappearance. Although, maybe some of them find the island and cannot get out. And we don't know what happened to us if we risk spending one more night there. We often went fishing in those places, but we didn't encounter anything else spooky or mystical. Thank you for watching and supporting me. Subscribe to the channel, there will be many more interesting things.